So China has gone ahead and restricted iPhone usage. That's right. So Apple shares took a hit today, and the question is, will they continue to drop more, or is it just a short-term blip? So let's take a look at the charts. Now, I'm Hima Reddy, and I use price, time, and momentum to boost my trading and that of my tribes. And what we're looking at here is a daily chart of Apple. So every candlestick is representing one day of price action. We have the price and the time axis. I use forecasting in my techniques as well. And we have my favorite momentum indicator, the RSI power zones. All right, so let's get right to it. We have this run up that's been in place since the beginning of the year that took us up into July. Then there was this move lower after earnings unfolded. Now, with all of this going on, the latest recovery higher has returned to what I call the bear resistance power zone on the RSI power zones. And it has also encountered resistance, so a potential price ceiling at this level right here. So let's zoom in there. You can see that price didn't actually even touch the resistance level. It backed off away from it. And it's the pre-gap low from here at 190.69 on August 3rd, all right? So the market in general doesn't like gaps. And you may have heard gaps get filled and gaps are not going to stay open forever. Well, in this case, there's still a little bit of slim margin, but the damage seems to have been done, right, with today's move lower. So the question is, are we going to continue higher from here or keep trading lower? Well, let me bring your attention to a couple of key points. One, those of you who follow my RSI power zones, there is this region right here, okay, between 50 to 55 to be specific, that is completely neutral territory. So it's very easy to bend it to the bias of the market you may have. For example, you may be like, oh, we're rolling down from the bear resistance power zone, but look, we're already back at the bull support power zone. So in this situation, the daily chart RSI power zones is not going to be super useful. We may need to go down a time frame, which I'll get to in a moment. Another factor to look at here is how today's candle relates to candles that have previously showed up that look similar. So what I mean is this. After a rise in price action, when did we recently have a large red candle? Well, we had one very recently, and we had perhaps one back towards that January low. I need to kind of look at all of it to see. Okay, so what we did have was actually this most recent move here. So coming down from the August 23rd high, we had this red candle. So if you had followed just the red candle, you might have been scared out of a long position or even gone short. And then the next day would have told you, hey, that was a false alarm, we're actually resuming higher. So I don't see any other examples in the move since January, so let's stick with the one that's here. Markets tend to move in similar ways, so it doesn't mean that we're going to jump higher from here, but I would like to see is give it one more session. See what happens tomorrow, Thursday, September 7th, and then evaluate whether today's weakness was the beginning of something important to the downside or just a temporary blip. Now, the other reason I'm skeptical that this move lower is going to just completely, shatter and break down below is because we have tested and held what's called an old top. This is a GAN concept, all right? So that is actually a sign that bulls may be re-emerging. And last but not least, there's a trend line that I can draw. So I'm going to pick black as a neutral color here and extend it to the right. So I connected the lows from August 18th to August 24th. And you can see how almost exactly we held that trend line support today. So we need to now go one layer more on the 60-minute chart, and that might give us some insights to what might happen on Thursday's session. All right. So I'm letting the data load up for the 60-minute chart of Apple. So now every candlestick is representing just 1 hour, 60 minutes of price action. So far, you can see that there has been a consolidation, so sideways, not really going anywhere, after posting this range into the 4 p.m. hour. And when you see a green candle after a series of red candles, there's more data that you need to help you determine if the market will break higher or lower from there. So I'm going to be doing a training on my special GAN twist on candlesticks coming up real soon. So if you're in my tribe, keep an eye on your email for that. But right now, what I can see is that this gives us a defined range. So we now have this range, 183.01, okay, or actually 183.02 to be exact. and down below at 181.47. So I'm going to put those little labels off to the different side, all right? So that's the little range to watch. So what we want to see is if price action will break above this resistance or below this support. So above 183.02 might be a sign that the bulls are refueling after that blip of bad news. But below 181.47 would fuel a deeper push lower, potentially violating this trend line and more. So that's how you can analyze using the price and momentum. At the moment, I don't see a forecast that I would draw on you. Again, I would like to see Thursday's session unfold. And we did this here on the daily time frame and then brought it down intraday. So you have all these levels to monitor. Let's see what happens on Apple, and I'll catch you next time.